Alright, this is how I think it really went down. I don't even think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in the movie Looper. I think someone went back in time and got young Bruce Willis, brought him to the present, and put him in a movie. That is what happened. Looper. So the movie Looper takes place in the year 2044. Time travel has not been invented yet, but it eventually will be, and it becomes immediately illegal. The only ones who really use it are like organized crime people and mobsters who want to kill people, and they can't they can't kill people in their time. Everything's tracked, you just can't dispose of a body. You will get caught. What they can do is take someone, send him back to the year 2044 where a looper will be waiting for him. That's what Joseph Gordon-Levitt does. He stands there with his blunderbuss scattergun, the person appears, blows him away, disposes of the body. So past the year 2044, the person just disappears off the map. But in the year 2044, the looper disposes of the body of a person who probably doesn't even exist yet. Pretty fail-safe system if you ask me. But then one day, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's waiting for the person to appear that he's gonna blow away, and it's Bruce Willis. Yes, it's older him from the future. Blows his mind, and then Bruce Willis gets the drop on him, and now it's kind of a manhunt. But that's what the trailer tells you. In reality, there's a lot more going on in the movie Looper than just that. And I love seeing that. It could have been just a simple premise, you know? Joseph Gordon-Levitt needs to kill Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis is trying to get away. But this movie had layers, friends, and they were good layers. First of all, one of the things that impressed me is when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's doing his voiceover, he's talking about the world they live in, what he does as a looper. You feel like this person who's done this job for a few years is telling you how it works, you know? When a premise is thought out like that and explained to you well, you're like, all right, yeah, the world now has relevance, you know? It has clout. Another thing I loved about this movie is Bruce Willis's story is ultimately Joseph Gordon-Levitt's life story also. It's not like the two are completely different characters. Bruce Willis is what Joseph Gordon-Levitt will become. In that, they both have to be relevant characters, and you have to know where both of them are coming from. It does a good job at not making it Joseph Gordon-Levitt who has to kill Bruce Willis, but rather it's one dilemma of one person's life converged and met at this point. And that was really cool. Now, it being a time travel movie, that makes this movie tricky, because there are things that will happen in the past that have to do with the future and cause and effect, where you can't help but look at it and go, I don't know if time really works that way. But they do a good job at illustrating in this movie that this is how time works in this movie. They explain it to you, yet keep it vague, and they're like, look, we're not even going to talk about this. That's the way of being like, look, no one really knows the cause and effect of time travel, and no one really knows how it would work. And if you say you do, newsflash, you don't really. Now, the things that are going on in this movie, I don't even want to tell you about, because half the fun of the movie is seeing it and you're like, oh, I didn't expect the movie to be like this. I didn't expect it to go here. I'm not gonna rob you of that shit. I'm not gonna spoil the movie, but just know it's in there. All the actors did a great job with their characters in this movie. Jeff Daniels is in this movie. He's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's boss. He's one of those characters that's not in the movie much, but he's a relevant character, and the lines that he had were good. And that kind of feeds into my point of view in the dialogue in this movie. Is the dialogue is really good in this movie. It was written really well because the people in this movie don't just talk shop. They don't just talk business. There's small talk, there's bickering, there's banter back and forth. That's why Quentin Tarantino scripts and Joss Whedon scripts are great, because they do that really well. This movie has elements of that, and it makes the dialogue feel real between the characters. There is this little kid in the movie, and little kids in sci-fi movies can be the kiss of death. You're just like, I hope this works out. This little kid actor is a really good actor. You're gonna see this kid in more shit. I don't always say that about kids in movies. Usually they're the complete weak link. But this kid, he was legit. I liked him. In the end, you already knew the premise of Looper was interesting because the trailer showed you that. You're like, yeah, that's interesting enough. I want to check it out. But the movie had great actors playing solid characters with great dialogue, some cool action in the movie, but it wasn't overly sci-fi cheese. It was interesting. It was intriguing. It had heart. It had relevance. It basically surprised me on every level because it's a sci-fi movie coming out in September. We've been here before, and they're never as good as you want them to be. However, Looper, the sci-fi movie that came out in September about time travel, is awesometacular. There is an element in this movie where I was like, this is so Terminator 1. But the movie as a whole is so unique, original, and compelling that even though this one element is familiar, the movie still makes it its own. So you end up being like, all right, that's cool. So your favorite story that has to do with time travel, what is it? A lot of people are gonna say Back to the Future, but really dig deep. If it's Back to the Future, then say Back to the Future. But whatever it is, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you wanna see more, click right here to see more.